Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If becoming a mangaka in One Piece world. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 511, What Lies Beneath That Mask? From the sea, or from the sky? You just try it. We're gonna kick your asses good. Alright, men. To battle. Just a few words from Luffy were enough to get most readers around the world excited. But what followed was a comical battle instead of a real one. In O'Hara, most readers laughed while watching the events of the chapter titled, Ha ha ha. As expected from Luffy. Ha 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 ha. Yes, he just wants to ride the flying fish. What a fun captain. BFT ha 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 ha. Oh, the fish have returned to the sea with their riders, including Luffy. Oh, Luffy got soaked, thank goodness he was saved, ha. Ha 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 ha. Chopper and Brook forgot they were devil fruit users too again. Nami gets angered. Ha 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 ha. Luffy never stops causing trouble. Oh, who would have expected Zoro to save a former enemy? He cut through the steel prison and the ropes that bound Hachon. Whether they were archaeologists or doctors, merchants or laborers, ordinary farmers or employees, everyone enjoyed the manga's events and discussed them enthusiastically, without any barriers, even though they didn't know each other personally. But today was Manga Day, where all barriers were broken, a day when the king becomes an ordinary citizen and enjoys manga with his people. Not far from the enthusiastic crowd of readers, Professor Clover, who led his team of archaeologists to the art store this morning, the knowledgeable archaeologist Don Quixote Homing, and Saul, who had become a new archaeologist in Clover's crew, were waiting for the arrival of Vegapunk, Brook, and some other companions who seemed to be delayed for one reason or another. I suppose the events will get better when the crew reaches the archipelago. Homing spoke at that moment. That's reasonable. I hope they deal with those scoundrels riding the flying fish quickly and continue progressing towards sobriety, added Clover. Not before settling the grudge with that iron-masked person named Duval. I wonder who he could be. Darashishishi. He seems really angry, Saul laughed, expressing his curiosity about Duval. I'm more curious about the cover story. How did CP9 and Rob Lucci end up like this? It seems the world government is chasing them for their failure in the mission and causing destruction in Eni's lobby, wondered Homing. Of course, the world government will be extremely angry in the manga, unlike in reality where they paid the price for destroying Eni's lobby in order to kill Robsan, but they failed. At that moment, Vegapunk, who had been delayed, arrived. He was the one who spoke the previous words, surprising everyone. Oh, you've come, partner. Clover was happy to see Vegapunk. After all, they were used to meeting like this every month. Something happened. Rob found out that I made the weapon they almost killed him with that day, so I had to explain some details to him. Vegapunk's long tongue circled anxiously, showing that he was very tense. Ha! Undoubtedly, what Vegapunk had just said was shocking to the listeners. One Piece events. Good going, Brook. I'm getting pumped now. Here I come. Luffy was happy after seeing Brook putting some of the flying fish riders to sleep with his music. Finally, he could ride a flying fish again without anyone commanding it to fall into the sea. Or so he thought. Ah! Wait, Luffy, not again. Nami tried to stop Luffy, but he was already stretching toward the nearest flying fish. There. Gotcha. You'd better not dive down again, you hear? This time, Luffy chose to ride behind the original rider, but he didn't know that both the rider and his fish were already asleep. Hey! They're asleep. Only now did Luffy realize it. Oi, you guys. Wake up! Luffy attempted to awaken them using Garp's punch style, but he was already too late as they plummeted towards a building made of straw. Ow, whoa.
Hmm.
Lying on the ground of the building they crashed into, Luffy saw a face he never expected to see in his life.
Ah? Luffy's eyes widened in shock. Duval held his iron mask and put it on.
You saw.
Ahawa. You. Luffy was definitely extremely shocked. You. No, me, yes. Duval with the iron mask stood facing the shocked Luffy.
What lies beneath that mask?
Marineford. I wonder what could make my grandson so shocked.
Sitting on a silver throne surrounded by all kinds of sweets and drinks on every side, Garp was immersed in manga events. Everyone who saw this scene felt sorry for half of Akainu's fortune, which went like that in his losing bet against Garp.
Garp, you scoundrel. This is my office.
Why are you sitting in my office as if you're the king here?
Sengoku couldn't bear Garp anymore. Wahahaha. Here, Sengoku, have this.
It's the latest edition of rice crackers sold at the art store.
It's much more delicious than anything you've had before.
Garp held out a bag of rice crackers that he gave to Sengoku.
I think it will be one of Luffy's old acquaintances who hasn't appeared before. Could this masked person be an enemy of Luffy? Wahahaha. That's unlikely. Who in this world could hate my cute grandson?
Your cute grandson can destroy the world and laugh as if nothing happened.
He's an expert at causing trouble. The more Sengoku spoke, the more he found himself downplaying Luffy's danger. You must be joking, Sengoku. Look, he even forgave Hatchan for ruining some takoyaki. Can my grandson really be that bad? What about a bet?
Let's pose this question on the global forum as a poll and see who will prevail, Luffy's fans or his haters.
If you win the bet against me, I'll give you half of my fortune, and vice versa.
After hearing this, Sengoku felt the danger and immediately retreated from his position.
No thanks, go and make a bet with Sakazuki. Oh, what a great idea. Chapter 512, Linlin enters the barn. The New World, Whole Cake Island. Does this mean you're ready to put your family and everything you own at my disposal, just for me to accept you as one of my concubines?
Rob placed his hand on Linlin's head, who was completely naked. Her size had also shrunk to that of an average woman, about 170 centimeters tall, instead of her previous enormous height equivalent to a 3-floors building, which was over 8 meters. Being by your side means power, glory, and easily fulfilling all my dreams, plus I love you. I won't feel any regret if I hand over everything I own to you to do as you please.
Sweat drops could be seen accumulating on Linlin's forehead at that moment.
Throughout her life, she had never had sex with a man like Rob.
He was dominating and terrifying.
She was used to being in control of other men in bed. But here, for the first time, she felt vulnerable in a man's hands. But, for some reason, she didn't hate this feeling. To be honest, I don't like the idea of taking a woman who had another man in the past as my wife. In your case, you were promiscuous in the past. I don't blame you for your way of doing things. You were strong, and it's your right to live as you see fit in this world that relies on the person's strength. As Rob spoke, the intensity of the sweat on Linlin's forehead increased. She had come very close to achieving her goal. She didn't want to experience the fall from bliss to hell in one night.
No dash.
She wanted to say something, but it seemed that Rob still wanted to say more. Taking into account your strong will, your change in the way you do things, and your relentless pursuit of me, I will give you a chance.
But you won't be remembered. No matter what happens, you will be nothing more than a concubine. I have a few concubines.
There's Stussy, whom you know well, Susan, a mermaid who, like you, also has a child but from a deceased husband, and Melona, who is Perona's mother, yes, that ghost princess. These are the women who wanted to be my concubines willingly, although I didn't love them to the extent of making them my wives like Alvia and Bella and the others.
If you're ready, I'll allow you to join them.
Rob wanted to be honest with this woman, who was the most powerful woman he had ever slept with. Neither Alvia nor Belmere reached Linlin's level of strength.
Definitely. I agree. I'll accept any arrangement you make as long as it means you consider me yours.
Lin hurriedly grabbed the hand Rob extended to her when she thought she had lost her last hope.
Good. Since that's the case, I'll leave everything else in your hands.
Rob approached Lin's ear and whispered provocatively, "By the way, I didn't think you would be so good at it. Tell your children that from today on, I'll be their big dad."
Ha ha. Lin was shocked after hearing that.
She never expected that the man she had loved would have such a strange side.
The big dad? It wasn't a bad title.
As for the bad situation with the giants, it will be resolved later through the manga. I'll make sure the giants understand that the incident was unintentional and not something you want to see, Lin. Before I leave, I will kill someone who has been taking advantage of you for decades.
Elbaf Island. Oh, no.
It seems that Zoro's injuries from his battles in Thriller Bark and the Golden Lion Island have reopened. I thought his injuries had healed in the previous arc, but it seems I was mistaken.
You're right, he seems to be suffering. This is bad, Oimo. Oh, look at this Octo guy is amazing.
He intervened to keep the danger away from Zoro, Kashiai.
Jayagagaga.
This fishman seems to have regained his senses indeed.
Gabababa. Isn't he the same octopus kid who appeared with Shaki-san and Rayleigh-san in the flashback of the Golden Lion?
Yes, it's clearly him, Broggy Dash.
Boom.
The giants were enjoying reading the manga events when they suddenly heard a massive explosion.
What's happening here? This aura. The princess's aura? King Loki is fighting with the strongest person among humans.
On the other side of the island, Charlotte Katakuri was puzzled. In front of him stood an immensely huge giant with long hair, wearing a king's robe and a jewel-encrusted golden crown, signifying his noble status. Terrifying conqueror's haki burst from the giant, but Katakuri was not unprepared, as he had already seen the future where this giant overpowered most of his crew with conqueror's haki and countered it with his own haki. That was the cause of the previous commotion and explosion. Charlotte Lin's children are not welcome on this island. That's what Elbaf's prince, Loki, said. One Piece events. This day, it's the day I've always wanted to come. The man I wanted to kill. The man I haven't even seen in my dreams. He's here, right in front of me. Thank you. Thank you, God, for this opportunity. The man who once sent me to hell. He's talking and looking at us? Usopp wonders at the strangeness of the current situation. What's the deal with the huge man wearing an iron mask and his hatred? Today, I will. Even if it leads to a fierce battle. I will kill you, there's no doubt. Black Leg, Sanji. Sanji is shocked after hearing his name. Ohara. Ha ha ha. Why does this man hate Sanji too much? Rosinante burst into laughter after seeing Sanji's shocked expression in the manga panel. The manga accurately portrayed Sanji's feelings with an extremely refined drawing style. Ohoho, Sanji said he made many people despise him when he was at the Baratai. Enel said with a smile. That pervert, maybe he had an affair with this man's woman.
Fufufu, will he really does it? This time, Doflamingo dropped an immoral bomb. Bluff. Both Enel and Rosinante almost choked on their drinks after hearing what Daffy said. Fufu.
I was just joking, I know that Sanji is a respectful guy, he wouldn't do something like that, but...
But what?
But he must have ruined this man's life, Duval, in one way or another.
Yes, that's highly likely. Oh, Luffy said he knows this man's face, and everyone else knows him too. My curiosity is growing more and more. Now I really want to know the tragic story of Duval. Chapter 513, The Tragedy of Duval. One Piece events. Ah!
That bastard, shouted one of the flying fish riders upon seeing Luffy successfully kick Duval's iron mask away from his head.
Duval-sama's iron mask got. This guy. Zoro was shocked after seeing Duval's real face.
Robin did not expect to find such a face in this world.
The strange coincidence was even more shocking. Oh my. Even Brook felt that the situation couldn't get any weirder after seeing Duval's face. Yuo. I'm moved. Frankie could tell that the owner of this face had suffered a lot, so he was deeply moved to the point of tears as usual. I've waited for this day. In order to send you to hell, I set out to sea. But finding you has been a problem. Because the face on the wanted poster is different from the face of the person himself. Duval took out the wanted poster for Sanji while expressing his grievances. Even if bounty hunters or the Marines came across the real one, they might just pass him by. No, there's no way that could happen. They'll find you guys. Flying fish riders, head. Suddenly, Sanji jumped off the ship and swam towards the buildings. Oi, Sanji, where are you? Exclaimed Usopp. They'll find you and they'll say, found you. Black leg Sanji. And then I'm not him. I don't know him. I'm not even a pirate. Duval's real face appeared, and to everyone's shock, it was the same face as the one on Sanji's wanted poster. It turned out that the reason for his suffering was Sanji's existence. Duval continued passionately speaking, tears never leaving his eyes. Do you understand it? The dread of one day, all of a sudden, being hunted down? And then I started getting chased by Marine headquarters. Famous bounty hunters started aiming for my life. What did I do? Give me back my life. When Sanji finally arrived, he kicked Duval in the face, shouting, like I care, dash. Bo Bay. Due to the force of the kick, Duval spat out blood. It became clear that all of this was the tragedy of the bounty face. Marineford headquarters. The Marine soldiers awkwardly looked at each other, then burst into laughter in less than a second. Ha 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 ha. Jajajajajaja. Ka ha 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 ha. I'm dying. Ha 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 ha. Oh my stomach. Ha 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 ha. What a tragic story. Sha ha 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 ha. I'm laughing and crying at the same time. A strange scene unfolded in different soldier resting quarters, with some clutching their stomachs tightly while laughing in the most peculiar ways. Some filled the place with their tears, but the strange thing was that those shedding tears were laughing hysterically, while some even fainted from excessive laughter. It could truly be said that no one expected such a hilarious tragic story behind the iron mask. In the Fleet Admiral's office, the Navy leaders looked at each other with eyes on the verge of bursting from shock. Wahahahaha. Oh my stomach. Wahahahaha. What an unlucky guy. Only Garp, who usually acted casually, was currently laughing heartily, while both Sengoku and Zephyr stared at the manga page with disbelief. What a tremendous mistake, destroying an innocent person's life because of an incorrect wanted poster. This is a misjudgment on our part, sigh. Sengoku sighed sadly. As the Fleet Admiral, he couldn't bring himself to laugh at the tragedy of this man who had suffered blatant injustice because of them. Should we consider halting the authorization of manually drawn posters? I mean, if the person's picture is not available, we could just put the name and general description until the actual picture is obtained. Zephyr made an excellent suggestion at this moment. It seems that's the right course of action to avoid falling into such a grave mistake. Agreed Sengoku. While Tsuru also nodded in agreement, Garp continued to laugh fervently. On board the Oro Jackson in the New World. Ha 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 ha. Wah ha 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 ha. Ra ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. What a tragic fate. Laughter could be heard echoing, a scene reminiscent of the situation with Roger's crew on Laughtail at that time. Both Buggy and Shanks clutched their stomachs and laughed as if there were no tomorrow. How could they not laugh when they read such a hilarious chapter? The crew's reaction when they saw Duval's face only added fuel to the fire. Roger wiped away tears of laughter before speaking, Wahaha. I never thought I would witness a story funnier and more tragic than Buggy's story when he ate the devil fruit due to Shanks' mistake. How dare you compare me, the great Buggy-sama, to a mere stuffing character, Captain, retorted Buggy. Ohara, Art Palace. While enjoying grilled takoyaki, Little Robin cast a sidelong glance at Sora and Toki, who were laughing to the point of tears streaming down their faces. Why don't you read today's chapters, Yamato-chan? They seem fun.
Little Robin said with a smile. It's okay, I'll stop reading the manga and watch the anime with you. It's more enjoyable to accompany you in watching anime than reading the manga, replied little Yamato with an expression hinting at a lie. Oh? Really? Look at Mom Sara and Mom Toki, how they're enjoying. Look at big sister Hancock too. They are all laughing from the bottom of their hearts. My dad must have drawn an incredibly funny scene. Chapter 514. What's the secret behind Sanji's kicks that can change someone's face? Ha! Did he just change his appearance by repeatedly kicking him in the face? Sara's little mouth opened wide as she witnessed this scene in the manga. In the next chapter, it was revealed that things had already been settled with the Flying Fish Riders and their leader. The Straw Hat crew had already made friends with some new passengers. The takoyaki shop owner, the octopus fishman Hatchan, the mermaid Kami, and the starfish Papag. Luffy and his crew were enjoying their takoyaki meal with unmatched enthusiasm. But in the next scene, a different face appeared. This man, Duval, his face was never like this. Wait. Sanji said he deliberately changed his facial structure. Ha ha ha. Toki burst into laughter at the absurdity of the scene. How could this be possible, changing a person's appearance by repeatedly kicking them in the face? It was truly miraculous, to say the least. Unbelievable. Can Sanji perform precise cosmetic procedures by kicking someone in the face? Sara stopped talking but then said, "It must be extremely painful, like hell." Toki replied, "Of course it's painful, Sanji's kicks are incredibly powerful. If it's done on the face, you can imagine the amount of pain Duval endured. He seems happy to be rid of his previous appearance. He must have suffered greatly because of it. Oh. I remember now. Isn't he the child born in the Shiki arc, who his mother said was cursed because of the Great Pirate Era? Ah. I remember that too. It's definitely him." Toki and Sora widened their eyes as they connected the events together. However, they weren't the only ones who noticed. Not far away, in the art store. No way. Unbelievable. This face. He's really handsome. Did Sanji really do that, seriously? How could he do that? It was never mentioned before. Leg skills that can modify a person's appearance, that's extremely unscientific. Vegapunk was about to slam the manga book on the ground and crush it with his foot to vent his anger. How could it possibly work, repeatedly hitting someone's face and completely changing it? Calm down, Vegapunk. It must be a special skill of Sanji's. There are plenty of wonders in this sea, and Sanji himself is one of them. Look, even though it's not perfect, Duval can't wink naturally anymore. His appearance becomes ugly when he tries. Clover tried to calm his friend. What wonders are you talking about? It's clear that Sanji is a genetically modified child. I know it, the only other person who mastered this technology besides me is Vince Judge. Sanji must be related to Judge. When Vegapunk said that, Clover, Homing, Sol, Brook, and most of the archaeologists looked at him in astonishment. Had Dr. Vegapunk just spoiled the events in the manga author's mind? Why are you all looking at me like that? It's just my hypothesis, but I'm 100% certain. That's all, you can choose not to believe it. I see that Sanji has a direct connection with my former colleague in the organization, the man who obtained genetic modification technology and was cold-blooded enough to experiment with it on his children. So don't be shocked when you learn Sanji's full name and his tragic background as Vince Sanji. The more he spoke, the more the listeners felt shocked and dizzy. Next to the famous Odachi in the Global Forum, another top-level analyst was born today. Vegapunk had already given a summary of Sanji's background, but nothing had been confirmed yet. One Piece events. Hua. A bubble just came out of the ground. After descending into the Sabaody archipelago, Luffy pointed out with surprise at the bubble that emerged from the ground next to him. How does that work? Robin asked Papag, the starfish. You can stand on it. Luffy jumped onto the bubble. Ah.
That's so cool! Chopper exclaimed in admiration.
The roots of the Urukuman mangrove tree secrete a special, unique kind of resin, said Papag.
Oh dear, it's all sticky.
Robin wiped off the bubblegum she had just touched on Usopp.
Hey, stop that, exclaimed Usopp.
So when the tree's roots breathe out, the resin gets blown out into bubbles, which float off into the sky, Papag continued to explain while Luffy happily jumped from one bubble to another, saying, "Ooh.
So all this crazy stuff is actually natural, huh? That's so cool."
This time, Hatchan spoke up.
And if humans like yourselves want to go down to Fishman Island, then that's the only way you can do it. But you don't want to pick the wrong mechanic.
Hatchan continued, if the job's not done properly, the whole thing could collapse underwater, and then you'd all be done for. But I know one mechanic around these parts who I trust with my life. So I'll take you there.
It certainly seems like the octopus is a nice guy. Ah, he's an Iitako. Brook remarked in amazement.
Hatchan raised his finger before saying, but in return for this, I'd like you all to promise me one thing.
Right, what is it? Luffy asked with a smile.
Once we go into town, we're bound to see the world nobles around the place.
Who are they? Asked Luffy. They're the people who live in the Holy Land Marigoa, Robin answered before Hatchan. What about them?
Luffy was puzzled about these people called world nobles. Hatchan's expression turned serious before he said, no matter what might happen while you're in the town,
you've got to promise me you'll never defy the world nobles. Even if people were to be killed right before your very eyes? You just have to pretend you didn't see anything. Marigoa.
Inside the government hall, the 5 elders looked at each other with vacant stares.
We have reached this stage already. The manga truly wants to remind the world. To remind them of who we really are. In the past 4 years, they have gradually forgotten who we are. Is he ready to do it for us? Does he have any choice? Shall we continue to allow him to defy us, the world nobles?
At this stage, it is no longer just defying the world nobles but defying the world gods.
It's all right.
The moment we solve the mystery of his art store, everything for him will come to an end.
Ethan Barron. Do not speak of this unless Lord Emu orders you to. I know what I am saying.
One day, his dominance will end, and everything will return to its true form.
Manga One Piece will remind the world of this truth.
A world where Rhodes d'Arab does not exist. But even without that person, everything is heading towards the return of Nika in the manga, our fateful enemy, that mocking scoundrel god. Well, let's see what this octopus has to say about the world nobles. It's good for the Straw Hat Pirates to do as he told them. His advice is truly golden, that is if they don't want to end their enjoyable journey there, in the Sabaody Archipelago.
Chapter 515. An adventure on the Dancing Bubbles Island, Sabaody Archipelago. The beginning of a long journey with no one knowing when it will end. Fufufu, this octopus is truly observant.
He must have witnessed many tragedies alongside the world nobles. Doflamingo laughed when he saw the heads of the residents hanging down upon hearing the title of the world nobles.
Being a former world noble, Doflamingo knew firsthand the despicability of the celestial dragons even as a kid.
One day, he desired to reclaim his identity as a noble of the world. However, after becoming a student of Rob, he realized the extent of his contempt for the world. Being a celestial dragon was no different from being a pig waiting to be slaughtered in this chaotic world.
Brother! Why aren't all celestial dragons like my father and mother? Why do they treat people like grass? Look at how terrified Hatchan was while warning Luffy and the others, asked Rosinante with a sad expression. Enel listened quietly from the side.
Simply because they believe themselves to be gods, above all humans, the creators of the world. But in reality, none of them are cultured enough to see the truth of the world.
Fufufu.
They're just human-shaped livestock and absolute authorities. Well, their authority isn't absolute, they are still considered toys in the hands of the true gods out there.
Does that mean I would have become like them if the plot had gone as planned? Enel spoke at that moment.
You cannot compare yourself to those pigs.
You possessed some power that allowed you to defeat everyone and gave you the arrogance to believe you were a god. That is entirely different from the celestial dragons. They are simply weaklings that a child without any training could defeat. One Piece events. Don't even think about it.
Usopp shouted upon seeing Zoro wanting to go out for a stroll.
Don't go wandering off, you useless idiot. This is a huge freaking archipelago, we'll never find you. Even Sanji couldn't bear to witness this scene. Like hell, I'd get lost. Zoro exploded, shouting in anger. Who the hell could get lost in a place like this? They've got numbers written on every single tree, worst case, I just have to ask someone the way back. Even a kid couldn't get lost around here. Zoro pointed to the number on the tree trunk behind him and spoke in a convincing manner that convinced everyone, but he didn't notice the bubble that covered the number 4. Ah! I never knew you had so much sense. Usopp exclaimed in surprise. Sorry, I doubted you. Go ahead, have fun. Even Sanji felt guilty and apologized. Don't forget to ask for directions. Don't trust yourself. Despite that, Sanji and Usopp still warned him not to trust his sense of direction. Zoro turned around angrily and left. Honestly, there's no problem. All I gotta do is remember the number on this tree right here. Number 1, huh? Zoro believed that the number he saw was number 1, but unfortunately for him, the actual number was Grove 41. Drum Island. Huh, no, you fool. Check the number again. Arisher was almost fainting from embarrassment at this moment. His beloved son was exceptional in almost everything, with an imposing appearance, immense strength, and a resolute personality. He possessed all the qualities of the second-in-command in the future Pirate King's ship, but why is he so terrible at navigating to this extent? It's unbelievable. Ha 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 ha. At that moment, Ushimara burst into laughter due to the amusing scene he had just read. BFT ha ha ha. Even Tara, his wife, found the comical scene entertaining. This child, he's bound to get lost again. I fear he might encounter a celestial dragon. I bet he would cut him in half if he saw him kill someone. Dr. Hirolik commented with a helpless expression. As if you're foreseeing it, Hirolik-san. My son would actually do it. Trouble is surely coming. Look, Hachan is still advising them to avoid causing trouble with the celestial dragons. Poor guy doesn't realize his efforts are in vain. Seriously, did Luffy tell him sure? Ha ha ha. Hirolik laughed because he knew that Luffy would never do as Hachan said. What a beautiful place, Sabaody Archipelago. My dear, will you take me there for a tour? I heard that after the Hunters Guild took over the archipelago, it was cleansed of all the negative things that were there and became truly a paradise-like place. Tara said, stars twinkling in her eyes. Just like her son in the manga, she also wanted to have a tour of the beautiful Bubble Island. Of course, my dear, we'll all go once Mom wakes up. Wano Country. The instant transport room shimmered, and Rob emerged in the art store of Curry. 2 more chapters? Rob noticed the System Shop's notification and was surprised to see 2 more chapters from the weekly One Piece manga update piled up in his store. He immediately bought them without hesitation. I'll pay a visit to Odin before reading these. That's how Rob decided to postpone his personal manga session in order to take a trip to visit Odin. He had already finished dealing with the Linlin matter, so he moved to the closest point to Elbaf, and from there, he would go directly to the giant island. But before that, he needed to find out what happened with Sabo and Marigoa. It was evident that the events there would be significant enough not to overlook. Anyway, it seems Luffy and his crew left the ship in that remaining place for 2 years. I'm sure none of the readers would expect something like this. Seeing how much the readers enjoyed the manga's appetizer, the tour of Sabaody made Rob feel uneasy. Oh, Odin and his scabbards are already here. That's great. Chapter 516, The Appearance of Celestial Dragons in the Manga. It's Rob Dano. Kinemon's eyes widened when he saw Rob walking towards them with a smile on his face and his hands in his pockets.
Odin turned around and saw Rob as well, and at that moment, a bigger smile appeared on his face. The 9 red scabbards stood up to greet the benefactor who saved them from disasters that could have plunged the country into chaos. The same went for Odin, although he had already thanked Rob on several occasions when they met on Roger's ship. But he knew that gratitude alone was not enough, no matter how many times he expressed his thanks.
Welcome to Wano, Robdano.
The voices of the 9 red scabbards caught the attention of the residents of Kuri and the inhabitants of different provinces who had arrived here this morning. They all felt amazed and shocked to see the man behind the art store in person.
Have you made up your mind? Rob asked, sitting across from Odin.
I spoke with my father, and he is willing to relinquish the position of shogun to me at any time, so you can say that.
Wano will be completely open soon, Odin replied. That's good, but you know that to fully open Wano, you'll have to destroy the current Wano. Are you prepared for that?
Upon hearing that, a strange glimmer appeared in Odin's eyes, and the eyes of the 9 red scabbards widened as they listened in silence.
Do you know? Odin asked in astonishment.
Of course.
What do you think?
I've sent 2 legendary hunters to guard Pluton for a year and a half after everything.
Opening Wano means releasing that terrifying ship once again and destroying the current Wano. Why don't you listen to my proposal?
The more Odin heard, the more enlightened he felt. In the end, he nodded his head to hear Rob's proposal. Keep the current Wano as it is, don't worry about the rugged terrain and the difficulty of reaching here. I will create a skyport from 2 points here, making it easy to enter and exit Wano through instant transportation.
In return, the real Wano will wait for the sunrise a little longer. A little longer, do you mean when One Piece manga ends? Odin asked curiously. Almost, at least when One Piece manga enters its final saga, that will be after the arc about your island directly, Rob answered. There's an arc about Wano? As expected. Let me guess, I'll be a dead character in that arc, right?
Rob looked curiously at Odin, who expected an astonishing truth in the manga.
Don't look at me like that, ha ha ha. There's something on the final island that reveals the truth that my son Momo is the awaited person who will open Wano, not me. Were CP0 after Kanjuro's brush fruit?
Yes, luckily on that day, Ishodano and Mihawk were here, so we eventually drove them away. Otherwise, they would have succeeded in capturing Kanjuro. Upon hearing Kinemon's words, Odin nodded from the side, glad that none of his subordinates, or rather his younger brothers, were harmed while he was at sea. They must be planning something, I will find out for sure. Rob had a mysterious idea about why the world government wanted the brush fruit. After the failure of their own manga, Heir of the World, suddenly they wanted to enter the world of anime, right? It was somewhat clear. Isn't this? How cruel. These celestial dragons. Suddenly, both Rob and the group heard angry comments from the readers. One Piece events. Here they come. One of the people in the crowd thought upon seeing a dog wearing an air bubble walking towards the corpse of the fallen slave pirate whose collar had just exploded. Is that a Tenryu? Seeing the dog wearing the bubble, Luffy thought it was the celestial dragon mentioned by Hachan earlier. You guys, two get on your knees, and don't meet any of their eyes whatever you do. Don't touch the pet dog, either, the Tenryubito are right behind it. Hachan warned repeatedly. The pet dog approached the corpse and urinated on it. Oh, my. How simply vulgar, Sarah. It's them. Luffy saw a strange woman wearing a spacesuit walking towards the corpse and kicking it, while people knelt right and left. Oh, he is certainly useless now, said the female celestial dragon in annoyance as she kicked the dead slave pirate. So you meet your end amidst the crying of families and grown men. Only the sound of the kick, the splattering of blood, and the heavy breathing of the crowd could be heard. Seeing this, Luffy's anger towards the celestial dragons began to accumulate. He can't even move anymore. A mere human such as yourself. Seeing this, Hachan pressed on Luffy's shoulder to stop him from doing anything crazy. The female celestial dragon took out her golden pistol and emptied it into the dead pirate in advance. Frankly, it sickens me. Why, the dash Luffy was about to shout and jump towards the female celestial dragon, but Hatchan closed his mouth and held him back. Wait. Please. I think I should like a giant for our next slave, the female celestial dragon said arrogantly. I think you should start with a merely human child, replied her father beside her. But I do so detest the weak. I feel sick after seeing that. You think he could survive? Though the Marines carried him off, said Luffy. He's a pirate. Even if he survives, it'll be in a cell. Hatchan knew that the poor pirate's fate had already been sealed. That pirate. I'm sure he should have been able to beat up an old man and a girl like that. That confused Luffy. But if you won't attend Ryubito, then you'll just find yourself the target of a marine army led by an admiral from HQ, said Papag. Wah! An admiral? Like Akiji? Luffy and Chopper were shocked. It could be him, could be Akainu or Kizaru. Any of them could be the one to target you. After all, the HQ is right on our doorstep here, Papag added. But what makes them so special as all that? Chopper asked an important question. What makes the celestial dragons so important to such an extent? Perhaps even the author doesn't know. Because they have the blood of the creators in their veins, said Papag. And he added, 800 years ago, a group of 20 kings formed a mighty organization known as the World Government. The Tenryubito are their descendants. And over those many years, they have certainly come to abuse their incredible influence. Maragoa. Inside the art store. Most of the celestial dragons looked at the scene in the manga with confusion. Why is Luffy angry at this female celestial dragon? Wondered a droopy-nosed celestial dragon, whose mucus was difficult to retrieve to his nostril. She's mistreating her disobedient slave only, did she do something wrong? Another celestial dragon found the whole situation extremely perplexing. They had been doing the same things as this female celestial dragon since they opened their eyes in this world, but seeing the reaction of their favorite protagonist, who was angry after witnessing one of their customs, made the narrow-minded celestial dragons feel that something was amiss. This cannot continue. From which holy family does this girl come from that angered my beloved Luffy? A female celestial dragon, who loves Luffy, wore an expression to search for this woman's family to cause her some trouble, regardless of her age. Troublesome. At the same time, the supreme commander of the God Knights gazed at the scene that the celestial heavenly dragons had created with a cold expression. He despised these feeble minds. Chapter 517, The Loathsome Celestial Dragons. On a deserted island in the South Blue, strong winds blew across every corner of the barren island. The green winds caused numerous whirlwinds to appear here and there, with dust flying everywhere. As time passed, the intensity of the massive storm only increased instead of decreasing. From the distant sea, a truly breathtaking scene could be seen. Countless cyclones constantly danced on the island, which was slowly dying under the relentless assault of the infinite winds. Undoubtedly, the power of this natural phenomenon was simply terrifying. But what was even more terrifying was that amidst this huge storm, a man stood, his cloak dancing with the wind, unaffected by the ferocity of the winds that could slice a sea king into pieces of flesh. At the very least, this green cloak remained unscathed. The cyclones intertwined with the clouds in the sky and caused a change in the climate above this island. Thunder roared as clouds gathered and condensed with each other to create a massive storm. In less than a minute, heavy rain began pouring down on the island, but it did not stop the hurricanes and the increasingly fierce winds from tearing the island apart. In the midst of this atmosphere where no human being could survive, Dragon, the father of the manga's protagonist in this world, stood with the latest volume in his hand, updated just a few hours ago. His eyes contained a dangerous gleam as the hatred in his heart intensified while witnessing how the celestial dragon treated the slave pirate who was already half dead. They have finally appeared, the filthiest creatures in this world. I wonder how the people of this world will deal with their growing hatred towards these scumbags over time. From now on, the whole world will know who the true celestial dragons are. When Rob told me back then that every person in this world would awaken the spirit of revolution within them because of manga, I didn't believe it.
But this is just the beginning, and I wonder how these people will react to this situation. Will the presence of the three admirals be enough to make this celestial dragon kick this pirate as if he were nothing?
Seeing his angry son in the manga brought a smile to Dragon's face. This pirate is just a human like her, my son, that's for sure, but in her eyes, considering herself of God's descent, humans are of lower status than that dog of hers. The more Dragon spoke, the more ferocious the dancing hurricanes became, transforming into green wind dragons that swept across the island, reducing it to shreds. On board the Revolutionary Army ship. Seeing this scene from a distance, Crocodile suddenly wanted to join in the fun and train his own abilities as well. After all, Dragon had been training his powers on this island not far from Sorbet Island, where their official headquarters were established. The appearance of the celestial dragons in the manga has made Dragon-san extremely angry. At that moment, Kuma, who was sitting not far away, spoke while reading a manga book. Why doesn't he get angry? Seeing how they treat other humans is extremely unfair. They treat them worse than animals. Ivankov, who was in his true form with the large head, spoke this time. If that pirate were an Okama, I wouldn't feel sorry for him. Crocodile said with a hint of mockery in his eyes. Hearing that, Ivankov knew that Crocodile was just trying to provoke him. I never thought you wouldn't feel hatred if one of the celestial dragons mistreated you, Crocoboy. You're becoming more twisted day by day. Foo. But I love it. Green veins appeared on Crocodile's forehead. Without saying anything, his body erupted into a sandstorm and attacked Ivankov, with the sole purpose in his heart being to kill him. Seeing this, little Bonnie smirked disdainfully and gestured for her father to act. Kuma placed the manga book to the side and calmly asked, "If you want to take a break from the pressures of life, where do you want to go?" Marine Ford. That's bad. No, that's worse. And it will get worse and worse over time. Akiji, Kuzan, and Akainu were mentioned again. What should we do? Thank God I didn't accept the promotion to Admiral, or else I would have become like that ugly dog that urinated on that pitiful pirate. Sengoku, Zephyr, and Tsuru looked at Garp, who had been silent for a long time, but when he spoke, it was like the detonation of a heavy bomb. Are you implying that our admirals are dogs, Garp? Sengoku bared his fangs and was about to tear into Garp if it wasn't for Zephyr stopping him. In the eyes of the celestial dragons, the admirals are merely guard dogs. The only difference between them and domesticated dogs is that they are stronger and possess some intelligence. At that moment, Akainu entered and overheard what Garp said. His expression instantly changed. He fully understood what was being said. Ohara. This is unbelievable. I've heard that enslaving humans is a hereditary practice among the celestial dragons, but I never thought they would treat their slaves with such cruelty. Alvia placed her hand over her mouth, holding back tears from flowing. Seeing this, Don Quixote Matri, the wife of Homing, patted Alvia's back while speaking. It's all right, Alvia. This is nothing, really. We didn't give up our status as celestial dragons and leave Marigoa for nothing. Upon hearing this, everyone suddenly remembered that Matri's previous identity was a celestial dragon. Do you think the story of your forsaking the Holy Land and descending to live among humans will ever appear in the manga? Belmir suddenly posed a strange question to Matri. Perhaps. After all, my son Daffy is a Shichibukai in the manga, so he must have gone through a lot to become one. If his story is revealed, then surely his entire background, including ours, will be brought up. Matri answered after some time of contemplation. Chapter 518, Rob's impression of the recent chapters of One Piece manga. Part 1. After leaving Wano, Rob decided to stop at the currently empty Onigashima before continuing his journey toward Elbaf. And the reason? Reading the new chapters of the manga One Piece. The last chapter he read was chapter 1084, titled Attempted Murder of the Celestial Dragon. Rob found a perfect spot in a flatland and brought out a comfortable couch from his inventory, along with a glass table. He placed the magazine containing the latest 2 chapters on the table and sat on the couch. It's time to discover what Sabo saw on that day. Did he manage to escape Emu's clutches unharmed? Excitedly, Rob opened the magazine and noticed the cover image depicting a cover request, where Frankie lends a helping hand to the little turtles on their way to the sea. However, what caught his attention the most was the chapter title. The Death of King Cobra? Sigh. Friend Cobra will feel saddened when he reads this chapter in the future.
I believe so.
Rob's eyes reflected the initial scenes from the chapter of the One Piece manga series on Earth Planet. Meanwhile, the residents of the Seas Planet were currently reading chapters from the Sabaody Archipelago arc.
No one is ever supposed to sit there. The impossible ruler. Ha! It seems Cobra is shocked by seeing Imu.
No wonder, after all, there was no one powerful enough to force Ima to appear in the first place. A deep expression appeared on Rob's face as he repeatedly read Imu's line, Mu** shall address two of the points being discussed.
And thou must answer a single question in return, Cobra. Does Imu refer to herself as Mu? Strange.
Oh, as expected, that's why Cobra asked me about Imu's name at that time.
It turns out he is aware of Imu's background as an ancient king from 800 years ago.
Even before I revealed the truth about the empty throne on the live broadcast that day. This Imushi who was conversing with Cobra appears to be a truly terrifying monarch. Her words are measured and give off an aura of deep mystery surrounding her character. It seems Cobra has exhausted all his luck. When Rob saw what Imu said about the truth of the D, he felt enlightened.
That's how it is, I finally understood.
It's not an inherited clan title, but just a symbolic title given to those who choose to be enemies of the world government, yet it is passed down to future generations.
Isn't that right? Queen Lily. Alvia told me about this name when she acquired 2 poneglyphs in Alabasta. So she has been the queen 800 years ago.
The grave mistake she committed was causing the scattering of the poneglyphs all around the world.
Doesn't this mean that Queen Lily was the first ally of my Light of Knowledge clan after the fall of Joy Boy?
After connecting the events and facts together, Rob was forced to assume that the kingdom chosen by his clan after the fall of the ancient kingdom was indeed Alabasta, and the reason was Queen Lily's betrayal of the world government and Imu.
What letter?
Why didn't Cobra tell me about the existence of a written letter from Queen Lily? Rob was shocked after seeing this.
Queen Nefertari D. Lily. No wonder. As expected. A decisive response from Imu. It seems she was not completely certain that Lily sided with the enemies. That's what she wasn't sure about due to their deep relationship. Everything is clear now.
Seeing how Sabo appeared in a blazing state behind Cobra, who had already been fatally injured by Imu's dark arrow, Rob shook his head with a sigh.
It's too late, Sabo. Was she so focused on Cobra to the extent that she didn't notice an enemy this close? With Imu's current power, this is impossible.
Weird. What are these dark shadows?
Don't tell me. Did Imu not reveal her true abilities during our battle, or even the Gorosei? Don't tell me they all possess God's mythical Zoan devil fruits.
Seeing Sabo suffer the fatal injury, after being lost in his memories of the past with Luffy and Ace regarding the D title, made Rob reconsider his calculations about Imu and her associates.
The poneglyphs must be protected. Fly the flag that heralds the world's eventual dawn. Nefertari D. Lily.
Seeing the final part of Lily's letter clarified the whole picture in front of Rob.
Finally, he could proudly say that he understood everything. It seems Sabo was framed for a crime he didn't commit perfectly. As Sabo said, hell resides at the top of the world.
Oh, it seems Wapol put himself in a predicament.
Ha ha ha.
Rob laughed after seeing Wapol screaming the name of King Cobra and exposing himself near Imu.
So that's why Wapol and Vivi gathered at Morgan's stronghold? Everything makes sense now.
Vivi has also been captured. As expected from Isho, even as an admiral in the Marines, he still holds on to his values.
He saved the slaves amidst the chaos and allowed them to escape. Seeing what Jabris said about Fujitora made Rob truly happy that he didn't recruit the wrong person among his legendary hunters.
Seeing how Vivi seized the moment of Wapple's appearance from the wall he ate and held onto him to escape from her captivity, Rob was convinced that this final saga was already beginning to take shape. Thus, Rob finished reading the entire events of chapter 1085 and went straight to the next chapter, where more exciting events awaited him. When was the last time I felt this excitement? I can hardly remember. Rob was genuinely excited to know the truth of the world. Was everything in his current world truly aligned with the real One Piece world, or were there differences? That's what he was eager to discover. Chapter 519, Rob's impression of the recent chapters of One Piece manga. Part 2. Despite being eager to discover the secrets of the sea's world through the most reliable source, which is the manga One Piece, he was in no hurry whatsoever. Rob lit a cigarette before moving on to the next chapter, 1086. The first thing that appeared in the chapter was the magnificent Pangaea Castle, surrounded by clouds as if embracing it. So, that's how Reverie ended, huh? The 5 elder planets? Will the names of those 5 scoundrels finally be revealed? As usual, Morgans never misses a chance for a scoop. Vivi still doesn't know that her father has already died. That's bad. Rob smoked one cigarette after another while diving into reading the manga, paying no attention to his surroundings. After all, Onigashima was completely devoid of any activity from the residents of Wano until now. Oh, what is Bonnie doing on the Kingdom of Morocco's ship? Oh no, it seems that the name of the kingdom in this world is the Tajin Kingdom. Since she's hungry, she's bound to fall in love with Tajin from that kingdom before moving on to Egghead. Rob was a fan of Moroccan Tajin in his previous life, and he was surprised to find it in this world as well when he went on an incognito visit to the kingdom called the Tajin Kingdom, and he even opened an art store there. It's a kingdom famous for its wonderful food and extraordinary hospitality in this world. The scene shifted from the Tajin Kingdom ship where Bonnie was to the Lelusia Kingdom ship where Sabo was severely injured. Just as expected. The Mother Flame. Rob's forehead trembled after seeing Imu talking about the weapon created by Vegapunk. That bastard. He created an ancient weapon, and they even planned to test it after decades, but after my appearance, Imu decided to use me as the target to test the power of that spaceship. To say that he wasn't angry would be a mistake. Vegapunk hid a horrifying truth from him. If the flying ship named the Mother Flame wasn't a copy of Uranus, then it must be another powerful weapon like Uranus. And this weapon was created by Vegapunk. How astonishing! She wants to test the power of the weapon on the Lelusia Kingdom not for any particular reason, but simply because it's nearby. Well, based on my knowledge of Imu, that crazy woman, she will definitely do something like this. Defense Science Warrior God? Rob's eyes turned to the title of the Gorosei with the hat, whose name was revealed earlier as St. J. Garcia Saturn. The title sealed with the words God and Warrior was intriguing, not only for him but for all 5 elders. Does his devil fruit have any connection with the god of science or industry? Or is he responsible for the defense science sector? Perhaps that's why he went to Egghead in the manga. He was even the one who contacted me when they found out that Vegapunk had changed the ship and joined me. I understand now. Rob started analyzing many points that previously had no explanation, just with the appearance of the names of the 5 elders and their respective sectors through their titles. Saint Marcus Mars. Environmental Warrior God. So, this person manages the environmental sector. Topman Valkyrie. Justice Warrior God. So, he was responsible for Eni's lobby, right? Ethan Baron V. Enustero. Finance Warrior God. The one in charge of the wealth and finance sector. From his name, he seems rich, no doubt about it. It seems he has a connection to Wano. This person was the one Ema saved from his grip, as he was about to be killed. Shepherd Jew Peter. Agriculture Warrior God. The last one responsible for agriculture. I see that their roles have already been assigned by Emu. These individuals who have been in the spotlight for years must have had a significant impact in their fields and specialties. But it's strange. Why didn't I discover anything about them? As the leader of the Hunters Guild, which currently holds half the world, there is no doubt that Rob has already collected an enormous amount of information. However, there is not a single piece of information indicating the names, specialties, or titles of the 5 elders. It's as if it's something that cannot be disclosed publicly. What is the purpose of all these titles and godly honors? Why do they even call themselves gods? Even I, the immortal, dare not name myself a god. How audacious. Just a handful of humans calling themselves gods. It's truly disgusting. Is this how Seraphim Daffy looks? Amazing. He looks exactly like Doflamingo in the current time. Oh. Same thing with Crocodile. Moria is the only different one because Moria is not very young at the moment. Seeing 3 other seraphims made Rob optimistic about this incredible technology. After that, Sabo spoke about how he deceived the world government, making them believe he was still on Lulugia Island. Then came the destruction of Lulugia Island through what is called the Mother Flame. It seems Dragon is really angry. But what can he do? Sigh. Emu from the Nerona family? The Nerona family. That royal family that led the 20 kingdoms of the revolution. Oh my. If Emu was from that family. But the Nerona family had a king at that time. What happened? Rob felt confused at this moment. The information he obtained from the manga and the information he already had seemed to differ at some point. Seeing the questions posed by Dragon and Ivankov made Rob even more perplexed. In fact, Emu is already immortal. She used the ultimate power of the Oppo Nomi fruit on herself to achieve immortality. That's for sure. But her immortality is not invincible. As long as she doesn't die, she will remain alive forever. That's why she has been hidden in Marigoa for the past 800 years. She's truly an ancient monster, but somewhat cowardly. The long life she has lived has caused her madness and indifference toward others as well. That's what Rob discovered about Emu in their recent clashes because she believed Rob had the ability to threaten her, so she backed off from many of her plans involving him. But, this weapon that destroyed the kingdom of Lulugia. How can its existence be explained and its relationship with Emu? If Vegapunk is the one who created it, then Dragon's words saying that Vegapunk doesn't create weapons of mass destruction are completely wrong. And if Vegapunk didn't create it, why didn't Emu use it before? This was the most puzzling point for Rob. What? Was this kind-hearted celestial dragon executed? This man finally appeared in the manga. Rob looked at the person who was considered a champion among the celestial dragons. He knew this man. After all, he was as famous as a legendary hunter in his guild. No, maybe even higher. This person was the leader of the Holy Knights Guild, the very first guild of the world government. They formed this guild by reorganizing their existing organization known as the God Knights, who served as the guardians of the 5 elders in Emu. This organization was higher than Cypher Pol Aegis 0, CP0. And the person leading them is Saint Figureland Garling. He is the person who ordered the execution of Saint Don Quixote Jascard, who was also his disciple's uncle. Chapter 520, The Appearance of Shikoyaku. One Piece Events. Bazooka. The pure physical attack from Luffy caused the huge bounty hunter to fly and his sword to break. You did it! Luffy-chin, you're so strong. New. Kami, Hachan, and Papag all enthusiastically raised their hands after witnessing Luffy's display of strength and crushing all the opponents. Yeah. My stomach is full. There's no way I'd ever lose to the likes of you. Luffy said, pointing his fist at the fallen enemies on the ground. I wonder what's going on here. All of a sudden, there's nothing but bounty hunters around, wondered Brook as he sheathed his sword. This is already the 3rd ambush. Even Chopper, in his battle form, was surprised. You guys are amazing, exclaimed Hachan. Look at this. The islands are organized into groups of 10. It's not set in stone, but this is pretty much how it is. Hachan pulled out a detailed map explaining the regions of the 10 archipelagos. Each area contains 10 numbered mangrove trees. Anyway, it turned out that the area they were currently in belonged to the lawless zone.
Why didn't you say anything earlier?
I could have had Zoro or Sanji take my place, exclaimed Chopper.
Cough. Damn it. What strength? I knew a 300 million bounty was too much. Lying on the ground in pain, the huge bounty hunter defeated by Luffy could only curse his miserable luck. There are so many big bounties here on these islands right now. If we just got one.
The same goes for the companion next to him. Returning to the Pirate King's ship, the general mood was extremely festive.
I was just passing by here. I didn't expect to see you all here, my comrades. Due to their ignorance, my crew thought we were going to battle against you. Considering the high bounties on your wanted posters, in truth, I feel the itch to fight after seeing you again, Captain. Roger glanced calmly at Bullet.
Only a few seconds passed, but Bullet felt like he was drowning in an icy swamp for years from just one glance.
Afterwards, Roger laughed and said, "Wahahaha. I didn't expect someone like you to take on a job from one of his old nakama. I wonder if he made you a promise of an epic battle."
Roger laughed as usual, speaking to the massive man who was once a member of his crew and had relinquished his position on this ship after they achieved their goal, which was to cross the Grand Line entirely. In truth, Bullet was not the only one who left the ship after the journey ended.
Some others left as well.
Bullet swallowed unconsciously. As expected, the Conqueror's haki of his former captain had become much stronger. He shook his head and gathered his thoughts, then said, "After retiring from being a pirate, there was nothing I could do to alleviate the weight of boredom. Boredom is a ghost that haunts even the strongest in this world. The guildmaster searched for me when I felt bored. Well, after a short battle against him, I realized how severely lacking I was. Then, I agreed to join him." Bullet continued, "Relying on my strength, I quickly passed through the rank tests and reached the S rank.
Then came the test to determine the rank among legendary hunters. It wasn't complicated. As long as you can defeat the rank above you, you can take their place.
Well, I defeated all the opponents from rank 10 to rank 5, but I couldn't budge the opponent at rank 3. That woman is ridiculously strong." Bullet recalled his battle against Belmere and gritted his teeth in regret. "It seems you're enjoying yourself more as a legendary hunter, no wonder." "Oh, I heard that Brindy World lost his first position to the Ice Phoenix. He even lost his second position to the Golden Crow and dropped to the 3rd rank, one rank higher than you." At that moment, Rayleigh spoke, being well informed about the latest news regarding the Hunters Guild.
"Yes, that's true.
After his battle against the admirals, his strength diminished, or perhaps he wanted to play with lower stakes and allowed the wives of the guild master to surpass him.
I have already chosen to battle him.
I will make him disappear before me as well."
"Yeah. Rayleigh-san. Come here. Come and see. You've been mentioned in the manga again."
Buggy ran enthusiastically, followed by Shanks, both feeling excited at that moment.
"I'm already reading the manga, there's no need to create a commotion."
Rayleigh sighed resignedly after seeing the extent of the youth's enthusiasm.
"That's how it is.
When I saw you with Shaki-san in the Sabaody archipelago during the previous arc, I thought it was just a fleeting moment and a chance encounter, but
I was wrong. It turns out you're actually living with such imperial beauty. What an ungrateful person you are,"
Roger said with feigned frustration, looking at the young Shaki's face in the manga.
How
in the hell does she maintain her youth after all this time?
She looks exactly like her current self."
Not only Roger but all the crew members were amazed. Even Bullet, who was a colleague of Shaki in the guild, felt shocked.
Sabaody Archipelago. Grove 13.
This is a guy I've known since I was a kid. Before entering the bar with the weird name, Hachan explained his relationship with the man who claimed to be a ship mechanic.
Hachi. It says right on the bar's sign that they're going to rip us off. It looks pretty awful. "It's fine, they're good people," said Hachan. "Hey. Is a bar really okay?" "Really?
Ignoring the bewildered voices behind him, Hachan opened the door to the bar and entered.
Rayleigh, Shaki, are you here?
The first thing they encountered was the sight of a beautiful woman beating up a customer who refused to pay. His condition was pitiful as he said, "I'll pay."
Welcome. What'll it be?
The woman with a cigarette in her mouth appeared very young.
Oh, my. Bar owner, former pirate. Shikuyaku, Shaki. Hachan. Shaki recognized him immediately.
It's been too long, Shaki, Hachan said awkwardly.
How long has it been?
10 years.
Just take a seat and wait.
I was just extracting some outrageous amount of money from these guys.
Take your time. She's still young and strong. I wonder how you'll look at this time. Surely, you'll be an old fool, wahaha. Roger laughed while teasing his first mate. I think Rayleigh-san will still be young and strong too. Rouge laughed gently before commenting.
I wonder what Shaki is doing now. How will she react to this chapter, I wonder?
Interacting with Straw Hat Luffy is not a simple matter.
Rayleigh was more interested in this matter. Sabaody Archipelago, Grove 30. Here, in this paradise-like place, stood an art store proudly, appearing like a building from a future in a different era. Inside the art store, almost everyone stopped reading manga and stared in awe at the woman who became the center of attention at that moment. She was a famous store goddess. This wasn't her first appearance in the manga, after all. She appeared in a flashback 20 years before the main storyline of the previous arc. Everything was normal until this moment when she appeared again with the same face and form as she had 20 years ago in the main storyline. Did you travel to the future, Shaki-san? It's incredibly shocking. Why hasn't the flow of time affected you at all? Oh my, you look more beautiful and younger than my 18-year-old wife. Put. Ha ha ha. After hearing what the last customer said, Shaki couldn't contain her laughter this time. Dayton, who was by her side, also laughed. That wraps up this part of What If Becoming a Mangaka in One Piece World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.